It's game time. Game time. Game time. We winning, we winning, we winning, we winning. It's game time. Game time.
Welcome back to the Gametime Greatness Podcast. This week, we're your hosts. My name is Brandon Scott.
Zachary Chambers.
And I believe this is episode 3 of season 3. Right?
Season 3 of the podcast.
Yeah, season 3 of the podcast, episode 3.
Okay, yeah, something like that.
All right. This week, we have Overreactions. We tried to do that last week, which would have been a little bit more fun after week 1. But week 2 will still be fun. So, Overreactions. We also have a little bit of insight into rivalry week and some cool stats on waiver wire and history of the league. All right, so overreactions. I'll go first.
Okay.
Rookie receivers are back, and they're elite. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 rookie receivers worth rostering, potentially worth starting, and then there's one extra one that is hurt right now that could be later down the road. We have Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Preston Williams, Deebo Samuel, and McCole Herdman. And then the hurt one would be N'Keal Harry. The last time we've had any kind of valuable rookie receivers was probably in 2013 or whatever draft when we had Evans, OBJ, that whole class.
So my first overreaction is a bit personal here. I should quit now because it's only going downhill from here. I was pretty excited going into week 1. Felt like I had a pretty good team. Did okay week 1, not great, and then didn't break 100 points last week. And I don't really see it getting much better from here. I feel like my players just are going to keep getting hurt, and it's just going to get worse and worse. So.
See, but this is overreactions. That is just a fair reaction because your team is garbage.
Unfortunately.
All right, my overreaction number 2. Grant is washed. He's washed up. All his competitive spirit is gone. 0-2. Here's a hint, Grant. I'm the one person that voted that you had the worst team in the league when they did the poll last week. I look at your team and I said, this guy's not making playoffs. So that's my overreaction, is that you're washed up.
It's a good one. So continuing on the theme of it being all about me, because that's all everything should be about. My second overreaction is that TJ Hawkinson will end up as a top 3 tight end this year. I've been known to pick up some pretty good tight ends from time to time. And I believe TJ Hawkinson had a bad week last week. I'll admit it. But I think they're just trying to throw everyone off, say, hey, this guy's not really that good. You don't have to cover him. Don't worry about it. This week, he's going to put up another 25 points.
All right, my third and last overreaction is that John Ross is going to be a wide receiver 1 until AJ Green comes back, and he was worth the draft pick that the Bengals spent on him in the first round, top 10 pick a few years ago. We'll check in with our expert on the Bengals and see how he thinks.
Rich Scott here. I got to give you my expert opinion on John Ross III, the Cincinnati receiver. He comes in at 5'11", 198 pounds. And everyone seems to know John Ross because he broke the all-time record in the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine at a blazing 4.22, besting Chris Johnson's 4.24. So what is it about John Ross, and should you pick him up in fantasy? I'm going to tell you right now, John Ross is not just a speed warrior. He has elite speed and catching ability. He gained 1,200 yards his senior year at Washington. So he's got all the tools to be a great wide receiver. Here's the problem. Andy Dalton's his quarterback, and the offensive line is pure garbage in Cincinnati. A deep threat deluxe cannot get open in 0.5 seconds with the garbage offensive line Cincinnati has. I wouldn't expect more weeks like week 1 and week 2 going in fantasy. I would be a sell on John Ross for this season until Cincinnati can do something about the line, which is probably a year or 2 away. Oh, well, that's my expert opinion.
Thanks, Rich, for that insight into the Bengals team. Probably the best out of us to talk about that, so good to have his insight there. My third and final overreaction here is that after the week, the trade with Cole and Jack, Cole will make the championships this year. I I think he won that trade by a fair margin. I don't see having a team with Fournette and Gurley as your flex starts is gonna. I don't see how you don't make the championship with that team. So if he doesn't, he's really as bad as we really think he is.
Okay. All right, on to some matchups. We'll let Zach read off the matchups, and then we each have our picks with who won because this is rivalry week, with who won last year as well. We'll be included.
Yep. So our matchups, it's going to be Colin and Brandon.
Number 1 versus number 2. He may be number 1, but we know who's really better here.
Yep. Last year, Colin won, so
it's still like 9-4 is my record. So
yeah,
not worried,
but
Colin. Not worried.
I don't know. The next matchup's Jarvis and Jack. Jarvis took that one last year. Probably one of the not as exciting ones there. You know, not as much bad blood there as some of the other ones.
I feel like Jarvis though has a low key disrespect for Jack. Like
everyone has disrespect for Jack.
But Jarvis and Jack are like good friends. So I think like low key Jarvis like Jack's a clown. Like if I lose to Jack, I should like
that's
you
true.
know what I mean? And Jack doesn't really know that. I just exposed Jarvis right now, but I don't know if Jack watches the podcast, so we'll find out.
Probably not. It would be honest.
Okay, Rant, this was not planned. I am so proud of Jack Bennett this year. He is making trades. I don't think he ever knew what a free agent waiver wire dollar was until this year. And he spent multiple money and picked up multiple players. And he's talking about trades, texting in the league. He's a league member.
No, I agree. I think the trade was bad, but at least he made one.
Like I don't care.
I'll give it to him.
I don't care if he's bad. I just care that he tries and is active and is a part of the league.
Yeah, I think he heard the rumors about us replacing him.
Oh, again. Okay.
So the next matchup is going to be me versus Ethan. This is probably one of the more exciting ones. We hate each other.
Probably not score wise.
Not score wise, but
interesting wise, just for the trash.
Well, and both teams are bad, so we're being honest here. It could be close. Last year I won that, so that's exciting. And
was that your first year ever?
I think that was my first year ever beating Ethan in the rivalry game, so it felt really good. And then continuing to beat him for the rest of the year was fantastic as well. I'm not going to lie. The next matchup is going to be Matt versus Grant. Grant taking that one last year. No surprise there with Matt's terrible performance last year and Grant's championship. Yeah, so makes sense there. Hopefully Matt can turn it around and see what happens there. Next one is Holmes versus Jake. Holmes took that last year.
And honestly, that was great last year. Jake, we were talking about Jarvis's low-key disrespect for Jack. Jake has been flat out disrespecting Holmes for the past few years, telling him he's bad at fantasy, doesn't know how to play. Holmes had that really down year, studied the waiver wire, came back a better man, and last year he had an amazing year. I think he ended up with the bye last year, if I believe, or maybe Noah did.
We'd have to go back and check the stats.
Either way, Holmes had an amazing year last year, so beating Jake week 3 had to feel great.
Yeah. And especially, again, like you were saying, after all the trash talk, I mean, feels
those are probably like Holmes and Jake and me and Colin, obviously those are like the oldest rivalries, you know, like the Bears-Packers. But like, it's just, they're just so fierce and fun too. Yeah. That's more fierce than me and Colin's, because when you own a team, like the Jets and Patriots aren't a rivalry. We've been over this, but okay.
He's trying to turn it into one. He got the win last year. So the last one's going to be Cole versus Noah, and Noah took that one last year. So we'll see how that one goes this year.
All right, on to our picks. We'll go ahead and make these real quick.
So I picked Colin over Brandon.
I picked me. I mean, come on. How can you vote against D.D. Westbrook? I mean, elite. What can I say? Gardner Minshew? All I'm saying, Gardner Flint Minshew II.
And then Jack versus Jarvis. I chose Jarvis to win that one.
I chose Jarvis as well. Jack's team lacks the upside to me without Fournette and Gurley for me to really be excited about his team. And I think Jarvis has a really good team, and they just got unlucky last week.
And like I said earlier, I was down on the trade as well, so I think he lost out on that one. It's making me lean towards Jarvis. Now, me against Ethan. I went with Ethan. Honestly, I'm picking to win the picks, right?
I did as well, and that's just because while you have a promising team, a lot of them are injured or holding out at the moment. And so if they come back, you can have a decent team. But right now, how it's looking, your starters are a little rough.
They're
unproven.
It makes me very sad.
Unproven.
We'll just put it that way.
And then Matt versus Grant.
Yeah, Matt versus Grant. I chose Grant in this matchup here.
I took Matt. I told you Grant's washed up. I think Matt's going to take it.
Yep. It's fair. I mean, I was going for the upset here. So next one's Holmes versus Jake. I went with Holmes on this one. I'm hoping he keeps the streak alive and beats Jake down again. This one was personal because Jake was dogging me at the beginning of the season to change my team name constantly. So,
and I went with Jake just because
I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think both of them have good teams. I think it's going to kind of be a coin flip. That's probably going to be the closest game I would say, like in the terms of like no one really knows who's going to win that. Like it's just going to depend on who has a better week.
Yeah.
So,
and then last one's going to be Cole versus Noah. I went with Cole on this one. You know, again coming back, Gurley and Fournette. Man,
I picked Cole as well, just because I felt like it.
No, I mean that's always a good reason. Anytime that you're picking against Noah because you feel like it, it's a good time.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's all the content we have for you guys for the most part. I do have a few quick stats that I found that I thought were pretty neat. In week 1, the waiver wire budget was $60 spent, or after week 1, on players. In week 2, that was $63. So we went back thanks to the Yahoo history app. And we compared. Last year, there was $58 spent in week 1, so pretty similar, but only $36 in week 2. So that's like about half.
Which is really surprising because you kind of think after week 1 you have people overreacting a little bit, but week 2 you have those couple of players that have been consistent for 2 weeks, so you throw down a little bit more money on them because you're expecting them to keep that up.
And our last thing we'll leave you with. So week 1 last year, notable pickups were Philip Lindsay and Chicago. Both were good starters for the team all year. In week 2, Calvin Ridley was picked up and Tyler Boyd was picked up. So all 4 of those players were significant starters on their respective teams last year. So my question to the audience is, who do you think will be this year's main pickups from these first 2 weeks? And I guess we'll get back to you on that question when we do a podcast later in the year.
Yep.
And I think that's all we have. Do you have anything else, sir?
Don't think so.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon if you want to get notifications. And thanks for watching.
Peace.